You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Monday, May 4th. I'm Maria Lizignoli.
I'm Johnny Connor. Thank you for listening to Four Things to Know.
For your first thing to know today, a ban on assault weapons is set to go before the Minnesota Senate. That's one piece of a gun violence package. Our Esme Murphy is at the state capitol as families from a Minneapolis school shooting are watching the debate.
Good afternoon. The Senate is debating at this hour a comprehensive gun safety and school safety bill that includes a ban on semi-automatic weapons and also includes numerous funding packages for items like school safety and also school mental health counseling. Earlier today, supporters of this bill did have a news conference. Among the items they discussed, while this bill does include a semi-automatic weapons ban and high-capacity magazine ban, on new sales, it allows people who have semi-automatic weapons right now, and there are tens of thousands of them in the state, to keep their weapons, but they would have to register them with the state. Among those speaking, Kiwanis Villela, a dad who lost his 13-year-old son back in 2016 to gun violence. He has two other young children and worries about them.
Today, I am a single father of two boys that are 11 and 12. And it's hard to watch them go to school to wonder if they're going to come home from school if somebody get a senseless gun in their hand and take their lives. I live with a lot of trauma, a lot of fear.
This debate is expected to go on in the Senate all afternoon, and some are even saying possibly into the night. There are numerous amendments being proposed. One thing it's not clear is if the Senate has enough votes to pass it. Remember, the Democrats only have that one vote majority in the Senate, and there are many senators, some DFL senators, who are not 100% sold on this bill, so it's not clear if this is going to pass the Senate. But those supporters this morning really pointed out that this is an election year and that the senators will all be on the record on how they feel about this measure. It's also not clear what the House is going to do. The House seems to have no inclination to pass any kind of gun bill, but senators are hoping that this perhaps will motivate them. I think that's probably unlikely.
Number 2 today, we're following the upcoming race for governor, including some new priorities from Senator Amy Klobuchar. Democratic U.S. Senator Klobuchar laid out her priorities yesterday for the first time since announcing her candidacy. Klobuchar discussed proposals to modernize outdated tech and streamline the permitting process for builders. She also laid out her plan to combat fraud, saying she wants to strengthen criminal penalties, block payments to anyone convicted of fraud, and audit government agencies on day one.
I will change the way government works to stop fraud before it starts, so people who genuinely need help, and there are many of them, and rely on these programs can actually get it.
Senator Klobuchar is expected to face one of several GOP challengers. The top spots in early polls are currently held by Minnesota House Speaker Lisa Demuth, businessman Kendall Qualls, and MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell. Lindell has criticized Klobuchar, saying she should have spoken up about the fraud while in the Senate. Meanwhile, Lisa Demuth called Klobuchar's campaign a, quote, Wall's third term, and said, plain and simple, 4 terms of Democrat control of the executive branch have doubled our state budget, raised taxes by billions, and enabled a culture of fraud that has stolen billions more.
Number 3 today. For a few years now, the city of Anoka has had a social district. It's an area downtown where people are allowed to walk around with an alcoholic drink. Our Barrett Leone was in Anoka this morning with a new warning from police and city officials.
A letter went out to local businesses about the social district, reminding them of rules and talking about stricter enforcement, including potential jail time if those rules are broken. And it's got some business owners questioning, rethinking if they even want to be a part of the social district. But here's how that social district works. Now, people are allowed to take alcoholic beverages from participating businesses into much of the city's downtown area from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Those drinks, they do have to be in special social district cups. However, 10K Brewing owner Jesse Hoff says a letter he and other business owners recently got from the city is a little concerning. It details harsh consequences, including up to $1,000 fines and jail time for drinking in the district after hours. According to the letter, enforcement will be done by police and plainclothes officers, with businesses themselves being held accountable for repeat violations. Hoff says the letter felt a little too aggressive, which is why he says his business soon won't be taking part.
This town has changed so much over the last 10 years that I really want people to see that. I want it to continue to grow, and the social district is the key to doing that. But with an aggressive letter like that from our police chief and the city administration, it just can't.
Now, Anoka's mayor tells us that this letter wasn't prompted by any sort of major incident or event of rule breaking, but rather just meant as a reminder of those rules. And he says that those harsher consequences like jail time most likely won't need to be issued.
It'll be interesting to see if other businesses do the same. Right now, we only really know of this one business who said, this letter is too scary. We're not going to even try to do this social district. But yeah, it'll be interesting if others do it as well.
Yeah, and Maria, we heard that the mayor also said this wasn't prompted by any problems they had, but you wonder if there were some warning signs or things of that nature that may have caused this letter.
Yeah, I wonder. We'll keep an eye on it and definitely let you know of anything we learn.
Now to your fourth thing to know today, ground was officially broken for the Upper Harbor Amphitheater in Minneapolis. The Upper Harbor is a city-owned 48-acre riverfront site off Dowling Avenue North and I-94 that is being redeveloped in part by the city of Minneapolis. According to the city, the amphitheater is slated to open in the summer of 2027. Now, it's an 8,000 capacity concert venue and will host around 50 ticketed events each year, with $3 in proceeds from each sale reinvested directly into the local community. The venue will be operated by the Port of Minneapolis. That's a joint venture between First Avenue and the Minnesota Orchestra. And today, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey spoke about what this really means for the city.
Whether it's Green Day or Beyonce, maybe it'll be Sounds of Blackness along with the Minnesota Orchestra. But we're going to have extraordinary music that is playing. The river will be right here. The downtown will be the backdrop. The sun will be setting. And we'll all recognize the kind of work and the partnership that went into making this beautiful vision happen.
And that would be really fun, Maria, to attend a show. You know, you have downtown in the backdrop, like Frey said, and the river right there. Sunset.
Honestly, this sounds like a really cool investment for the city, and I can't wait till it's open. Supposedly summer of 2027.
Yeah, just around the corner.
Just
next
around
summer.
the corner, yeah.
Those are the four things to know today. Now let's check in on our next weather forecast.
Hi, I'm next weather meteorologist Lisa Meadows. Get ready for a cool down. Temps tonight down to 38. High tomorrow coming in at 53. Below average streak continues into the midweek.
And now, here's more to know.
2 Brooklyn Center police officers were hurt Sunday morning while responding to a theft call. Witnesses called police around 10:45 a.m. about a man trespassing inside a business off Brooklyn Boulevard. They told them the man also had a large dog with him that was roaming free. Officers say the man had a warrant out for his arrest. According to police, as they tried to take him in, there was a struggle, and officers used their tasers. And they say that's when the man's dog attacked the officers, biting them. Now, an officer did shoot the dog, who died at the emergency vet. The officers were treated at the hospital. The man was booked into the Hennepin County Jail.
Maria, let's get to our next story. Have you filled up your car lately?
I've been holding out because the gas prices have gone up so much. Yeah, I'm like holding out for as long as I can, just hoping they'll go back down.
That makes sense. I've been filling up for like $5
Have you?
each time.
Yeah, it's probably smart, honestly.
It's been so brutal, and we want to get to our next story now. So here in Minnesota, the average price for a gallon of gas is $4.05. A month ago, it was $3.57 a gallon, so still a ways off from any record-setting prices, but gas was most expensive here in Minnesota in June 22. Guess what it was then?
Not sure.
$4.76.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're a little bit off of the top, but
hopefully we don't break that record.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, and high prices aren't just at the pump. Minneapolis Fed President and CEO Neil Kashkari was on Face the Nation Sunday morning. He says the Federal Reserve is closely watching the war and inflation data, and that inflation data is a big part of what will guide them when it comes to decisions about interest rates. Kashkari says the economy could take a real downward shift if the conflict in Iran continues.
The challenge the Fed is facing right now is really about uncertainty of the outlook for inflation, which stems back to what happens in the Middle East. And it seems like there's a great deal of uncertainty about the path ahead, from what I can read.
And Maria, he added that there is too much uncertainty in the Middle East for him to feel comfortable saying a rate cut would be in the cards. But he says a worst case scenario is there could be a hike.
Oof. Okay, let's continue with the money. We are looking out for your money today on this podcast and talking about Spirit Airlines. Wasn't that wild to hear that Spirit just ended?
All done.
All done. I know. And so, yeah, it was a very sudden closure. And experts say because of that, we can expect to see a rise in ticket prices. The carrier, Spirit, shut down on Saturday, leaving thousands of travelers stranded and workers without a job. Experts say there are a number of factors that played into that collapse, including one that will continue to impact other carriers: the cost of jet fuel. Travelers are already paying about 15% more for tickets than at the start of the war with Iran. Spirit says it has processed the bulk of its credit card refunds for outstanding reservations and say the rest are still in progress. Now, Spirit did stop flights to MSP back in December, but if you did have plans to fly with the budget carrier, Delta is stepping in to help. They're offering reduced tickets for the next few days across the U.S. and Latin America.
Maria, let's get to sports. Big night. The Timberwolves, they take the court tonight for game 1 of their second round series. Now they play the San Antonio Spurs on the road. Tip-off is set for 8:30. The biggest news of the day so far, could Anthony Edwards make his return?
That's the biggest question. I mean, he had a crazy injury with a hyperextension.
Oh, yeah, it looked brutal, and he's already been battling his other knee injury too. The Athletics' Shams Charania, he says Anthony Edwards was actually on the court this morning with the Wolves, and he might return tonight. Now, I doubt it. It seems like
it was only like a week ago, a little more than a week ago that he did that hyperextension. So, dang, that does seem like a quick.
Yeah, that would be crazy. But the team has cleared the star for on-court activities. He is listed as questionable tonight. I mean, this is really good news, right? Now that he's back on the floor. You know he's going to come back at some point soon.
He has to. But I got to say, the other teammates really did pull through and get that win without him last time. So, with or without him, hopefully Timberwolves do well.
Absolutely, yeah. Tip-off at 8:30. Now let's get to hockey. Did you see any of the Wild game last night?
I caught the very beginning, so I didn't see the extreme goals that were... the extreme number of goals, I should say, that were scored.
It was crazy. Yeah, like a baseball or football score, 9-6.
Yeah.
I mean, insane. So the Wild, unfortunately, they lost game 1 in Denver. That's all right. They're dealing with some injury troubles of their own, so they're going to play again tomorrow night. Try to get a split heading back into St. Paul. So it's possible, but this is a much tougher challenge than the last series, I think.
I want to stay on the ice because the Minnesota Frost, they took game 1 against the Montreal Victoire on Saturday. It was a thriller of a game that went into overtime, but your back-to-back champs took the win.
Let's go.
5-4. Yeah, the team gets a break today, but they will be back on the ice tomorrow because game 2 against Montreal is set for 6 p.m. But one player, Johnny, that won't be on the ice tomorrow, Frost forward Britta Curl-Salemi.
Uh-oh, what did she do?
Well, unfortunately, she's going to serve a suspension for an illegal check to the head that happened during the game 1 of the PWHL semifinals.
I shouldn't be laughing, but
I know.
This stuff happens in hockey, right?
It does, yeah. The league made this announcement today. Curl-Salemi earned that 1-game suspension and will miss game 2 against the Montreal Victoire tomorrow. She also is going to be fined $250 for, quote, okay, ready? Quote, let me read it. Sending her opponent to the ice with a degree of violence that warrants supplemental discipline.
I'll have to watch the video.
I know, right? I didn't catch that game either, but yeah, it sounds kind of crazy. Anyway, Curl-Salemi, this is her first suspension of the season. She was also suspended a game last year during last year's playoffs and then twice before that. So it sounds like she has a bit of a record there.
Well, okay, maybe they will definitely miss her tomorrow, but at least they got game 1, right? A little bit of a cushion.
Game 1, exactly. Okay, let's look ahead to the season of women's basketball. The Lynx opened the season Saturday, and they'll be doing it without annual MVP candidate Nafisa Collier. She won't resume basketball activities until at least June. She's been riding the bike at practice. Okay, so she's been practicing with the team, trying to bond with this year's team that's got a lot of new faces. Now, remember, Collier is coming back from surgeries on both her ankles. And she says it's been quite a process.
Neither of them started getting better. And so I kind of knew in the back of my head, like, I'm usually a pretty fast healer. But tried anyway, tried to do the rehab, and it wasn't getting better. So finally saw a surgeon. He's like, it's not going to get better. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. She was dealing with a lot.
Both. That's not ideal.
No, not ideal. Sounds like she got the surgeries, though, and she's hopefully recovering.
She's ready to go. Okay. And last thing in sports today, Maria, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, big sports.
This is crazy. So golf fans know the PGA Tour always comes to Blaine for the 3M Open. And it's usually not the best field because it's not the biggest tournament, right? It doesn't have the most money. But Scotty Scheffler, the best player in the world, actually committed today to play in the 3M Open. So just crazy news. That'll be so fun to see him here this summer.
See him here in Minnesota. That is kind of crazy. Why?
I'm assuming they gave him a big appearance fee. I don't know, though.
Yeah.
But that's just so cool. I mean, he literally is the best by far. He's the best golfer in the world, so he'll be here.
That is exciting. In Blaine, 3M Open starts July 22nd.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
A music teacher from St. Louis Park is being celebrated for his work impacting the next generation of composers. Education Minnesota named David Davis the 2026 Minnesota Teacher of the Year. Davis teaches at Park Spanish Immersion Elementary in St. Louis Park. Education Minnesota says Mr. Davis emphasizes student voice, creativity, and cultural responsiveness. And, Johnny, listen to this, notes that his K-5 students compose original music.
That is so cool. He sounds like a great teacher. Fun.
Could you even imagine composing music as a fifth grader or a kindergartner? That's so cool to have a teacher that can teach you something like that.
He must be really creative, and so must his students.
I know. Yeah.
Right?
Right. He's got a ton of accolades. He has received national recognition and was the first Minnesotan named a top 25 semifinalist for the Grammy Music Educator Award.
Wow, that sounds
Which
like a cool
sounds
award,
prestigious.
too.
Yeah, I know.
Anytime Grammy is in there,
Right,
it sounds great.
Exactly. I just think back to all the teachers that made such an impact in my life, and it's cool to think about how teachers are still doing it for the generation.
Absolutely.
today.
Yeah, teachers, youth coaches, like those people always can have such a big impact, and it's great to see them get recognized.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us here on 4 Things to Know. With Johnny Connor, I'm Maria Lisignoli, and this has been 4 Things to Know. We're here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love podcasts? Love Minnesota?
Check out the WCCO podcast studio lineup.
Hear the top stories of the day with 4 Things to Know.
Discover top female athletes and teams from around the state on women in sports.
Dive into stories about faith and belief, from your local leaders to your neighbors next door, with bigger than belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.